guys, this is Melody, and today we're using colored pencils. So similar to the last video where I used oil pastels, colored pencils are a supply that I haven't really used in a while. And I know in the past I've done some like realistic looking apples and a guinea pig and random little things here and there, but that was back in like junior high, and I have not used them as frequently since then. I've used them to do sketching or simple little things, but I've not really tried to do anything realistic. Now, disclaimer, this piece isn't super realistic. I was kind of glossing over some things and not, I was focusing on the details, but I wasn't going for perfection. I felt the need to start somewhere, and trying to get everything 100% perfect was intimidating. So I went for kind of a semi-realism. I want to get the face looking like a face and the hair looking like a hair, but unlike when I was really into realism, I did not focus on every single strand of hair, because that would have made this take like 20 hours. I was obviously using a reference photo that I found on Pexels, and the night before I even started doing this drawing, I actually organized all of these pencils, which took an hour or two, if I'm being honest. I was kind of in the mood to like do something, but also not really. I wanted to lay in bed, and so I settled on organizing my colored pencils. And while they don't look organized in the case, basically what I did was I went through all of them and I separated out the different brands. I prefer Prismacolor pencils, and I know there are some people who really prefer Faber-Castell, but the ones that I've used feel harder. Like, they don't feel as smooth and buttery as the Prismacolor. I don't know if this is your guys' experience, but that was my experience. The one upside is that their like lead doesn't break as frequently. I have to say that's probably the most annoying thing about Prismacolor pencils, is that because the lead is so soft, half the time you go to sharpen it, you end up losing your lead, and that can get really frustrating. So I separated out the brands because they act differently, and I wanted to use Prismacolors only for this. And I also took out all my duplicates, and I did swatches of every single pencil. So as you can imagine, that took a while. However, now I know I have all my duplicates in a separate area, and I also have all those swatches so that if I'm trying to find a certain color, I can refer to that. And I also know which colors I have, so that if I go out to buy more pencils, or I guess right now if I buy more pencils online, I will know what I already have and what I don't have, to prevent me from buying duplicates, which I find very easy to do when you have this many pencils. I kind of do the same thing with my Copic markers, except they have an app, which makes it a lot easier, obviously. Anyway, let's talk about the actual art. I did not intend to film this, which is why when we started recording, some of this was already drawn. I really wanted to just play with this tan-toned paper. This is the paper I did all the swatches on because I kind of wanted to see what colors would pop. Obviously, some of them pop really, really well, like these pinks, and others blend into the paper and you can hardly tell that they're there. So I kind of wanted to see how they acted on this paper before I went in drawing something. And then I started drawing something. I did all the outlines in white, and I did find that on this paper you can kind of erase these pencils. It doesn't erase 100%, but enough that if there's a line you really don't want there, you can kind of scrub it away. So I had actually started drawing this in bed. I liked the way it was coming out, and I decided, why not film it? I need a video anyway, and now that I'm working on a kind of larger commission that'll take some time, I'm glad I did this because it gives me a video to give you guys. So let me know if you like this kind of thing, or if there's anything else you want to see me try to do or try to draw with colored pencils. After this, I feel like my confidence was boosted a lot with drawing with colored pencils, though I do think the kind of paper that you're using really kind of determines the way that your art turns out. think in the past, some of my frustrations with colored pencils have stemmed from the fact that I wasn't using good paper. And I don't know that this is necessarily the best paper, but they seem to work pretty well on it. Really, you don't want to use a smooth paper, and I have had sketchbooks in the past where I tried to draw with colored pencils, but the paper was so smooth that it was hard to make marks, if that makes sense. So really smooth paper, you can get the colored pencil down, but because there's no grit, it might be a little bit harder to blend it. This paper has a lot of grit. It almost feels like a thick construction paper kind of thing. I don't really know what to call it. For those wondering, I just went and grabbed the sketch pad that I was working in. It is B paper, and it's the brown recycled rough sketchbook 9x12. So if you're curious or want to check out this paper, go for it. On the front it says brown tone design and fashion sketch paper. I don't know that it's really meant to be used this much color. I don't know. You can use anything any way that you want to. I just suggest if you're going to do something with colored pencils to get a paper that has some tooth to it. Even like watercolor paper is probably better than like a marker paper or Bristol board or something like that that's going to be super smooth. But ultimately it's up to you. I like to do mixed media, so that means colored pencils for me regularly get used on top of watercolor paintings, and that's my main use for them. Anyway, this is pretty much the end result here, so let me know what you think. I am relatively happy with this piece. I think there are some things that could be fixed, but you never know until you just kind of jump in and go for it. So make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.